Good evening. Let's talk about cryptocurrency, that magical internet money that your nephew won't shut up about. It's a world of dizzying highs, crushing lows, and a truly baffling amount of laser-eyed dog pictures. And just when you thought it couldn't get any weirder, a familiar face has cannonballed into the pool. Donald J. Trump. That's right, the former president, a man whose relationship with technology is best described as contentious, has suddenly decided he's crypto's biggest fan. This isn't just a casual tweet, it's a full-blown political pivot that has sent shockwaves through the entire digital asset space, and it might just have massive implications for one of the most talked about and controversial projects out there, the Pi network. In November 2025, in a move that made crypto enthusiasts spit out their kombucha, President Trump pardoned Changpeng Zhao, the founder of Binance, the world's largest crypto exchange. You might remember him as CZ, the guy who got a 4-month prison sentence for, and this is the technical term, not being great at stopping money laundering. The White House justified this by saying they were ending the previous administration's war on cryptocurrency, which is, honestly, a pretty bold statement. It's like pardoning a pyromaniac to show your support for the fire department. This single act signaled that the Trump administration wasn't just tolerating crypto, it was actively rolling out the red carpet, and that has everyone asking what comes next. This sudden, enthusiastic embrace of a notoriously volatile industry has kicked the hornet's nest of speculation. It's not just about one man getting out of jail early, it's about what this new, crypto-friendly White House means for the entire ecosystem. For years, projects have been begging for regulatory clarity, for a sign from the government that they won't be regulated out of existence. Now they have a president who seems to see crypto not as a threat, but as a strategic asset. This brings us to the heart of our story tonight, the Pi network, a project with millions of followers who have been desperately hoping for a big break. The central question is this: could Trump's newfound love for all things blockchain be the key that unlocks the door for Pi network to get listed on the holy grail of exchanges, Binance? It sounds like a plot from a bad airport novel, I know, but the pieces are all there. A pardoned CEO, a pro-crypto president with interesting financial ties, and a massive, mobilized community that believes its moment has finally arrived. We're going to untangle this mess of politics, finance, and digital dreams to figure out if the stars are aligning for Pi, or if this is just another Tuesday in the ridiculous, unpredictable world of cryptocurrency. So buckle up because things are about to get weird. Now, Trump's pardon of CZ wasn't a one-off gesture, it was merely the opening act in a full-blown crypto opera. Shortly after, on March 2, 2025, the administration announced something truly audacious: the creation of a U.S. crypto strategic reserve. Yes, you heard that right. Just like the country has reserves of oil and gold, the U.S. would now be stockpiling digital currencies. The initial list included the big names you'd expect, like Bitcoin and Ethereum, but also some others like Solana, Ripple and Cardano. It was a move that screamed, "We believe in this stuff so much, we're using taxpayer-adjacent funds to buy it." The market, predictably, went completely bananas. The announcement had an immediate and explosive effect. It was like pouring gasoline on a bonfire. The prices of the chosen coins surged dramatically. Solana jumped 18%, Ripple shot up 24%, and Cardano, the quiet kid in the back of the crypto class, rocketed an astonishing 60%. This wasn't just a market rally, it was a government-stamped seal of approval. The message was clear: these aren't just speculative toys for nerds anymore. They are now considered assets of national strategic importance. This policy fundamentally changed the conversation around crypto in Washington, moving it from the fringes of finance to the center of national economic strategy. As if buying up a digital dragon's hoard wasn't enough, Trump followed it up by hosting the first-ever White House Crypto Summit on March 7, 2025. This wasn't some backroom meeting. It was a full-on photo op with the titans of the industry. Leaders from MicroStrategy, Coinbase, Chainlink and Robinhood were all there, smiling and shaking hands with the president. It was the ultimate signal to the market and the world that the U.S. was not only open for crypto business but intended to be the global leader. For an industry that had spent years being treated like a pariah by regulators, this was vindication of the highest order. This series of events represents a complete 180-degree turn in U.S. policy. The government went from viewing crypto with suspicion and hostility to embracing it as the future of finance. For projects big and small, this shift is monumental. It creates a regulatory environment that is, at least on the surface, incredibly supportive. It suggests that the days of fearing a sudden crackdown are over, replaced by an era of potential partnership and growth. And it's within this new, sunnier climate that the hopeful community of the Pi network sees its biggest opportunity yet to finally step into the mainstream light. So, what exactly is this Pi network that has everyone so worked up? Imagine a cryptocurrency that you could mine on your phone without draining your battery or requiring a supercomputer. That was the simple, brilliant pitch that launched Pi Network. It promised to make crypto accessible to everyone, not just tech wizards with basements full of expensive hardware. Users, who call themselves pioneers, could earn Pi coins simply by opening an app and tapping a button once a day. This low barrier to entry attracted a massive global following, with millions of people diligently tapping away, accumulating coins in the hope that one day they would be worth something real. For years, Pi existed in a sort of limbo, an enclosed mainnet. This meant the coins were real on their own network, but you couldn't actually do anything with them. You couldn't trade them, sell them, or buy a pizza with them. They were basically digital IOUs, their value purely theoretical. But that all changed on February 20th, 2025, when the project finally launched its open mainnet. Suddenly, the coins that millions had been hoarding for years were unleashed into the wild world of crypto. It was the moment everyone had been waiting for. The transition from a speculative hobby into a tangible financial asset. The launch was, to put it mildly, a success. By March 2025, just a month after going live, Pi Network had exploded onto the scene. It achieved a staggering market capitalization of $13.59 billion, placing it 11th on CoinMarketCap, a truly remarkable feat for a newcomer. The price of a single Pi coin settled around $1.93, with a daily trading volume of over $800 million. For the pioneers who had been tapping that button for years, it was a moment of pure triumph. Their patience and their faith in the project had seemingly paid off in a very big way. This journey from a simple mobile app to a multi-billion-dollar crypto asset is the core of the Pi Network story. It's a project built on the power of community and the promise of accessibility. Unlike many crypto projects that are built on complex technology and aimed at sophisticated investors, Pi was built for the masses. Its strength lies in its enormous, dedicated and highly vocal user base. And now that their coins have a real market value, that community has turned its collective attention to the next logical goal, getting listed on the biggest stage of them all, Binance. For any cryptocurrency, getting listed on Binance is like a small-town actor landing a leading role in a Hollywood blockbuster. It's the ultimate validation. Binance is the world's largest and most liquid cryptocurrency exchange, with a user base that has swelled to over 280 million people as of mid-2025. A listing on Binance means instant access to a global ocean of traders and investors, bringing unparalleled liquidity and, most importantly, legitimacy. For the Pi Network community, a Binance listing isn't just a goal, it's the final step in their journey from a niche mobile project to a globally recognized digital currency. It's the event that would cement its place among the top crypto assets. The desire for this listing is so intense that the Pi community, the pioneers, has been waging a relentless campaign. They haven't been shy about making their wishes known. They've organized social media blitzes, created petitions, and flooded crypto forums with posts demanding that Binance take notice. At one point, their frustration boiled over, and they organized a campaign to leave one-star reviews on the Binance app, a sort of digital protest to force the exchange to listen. It was a bold, if slightly aggressive tactic that demonstrated just how passionate and organized this community really is. They see the listing as their right, a reward for their long-term commitment. Binance, for its part, has certainly noticed. In February 2025, the exchange's official Binance Square account conducted a poll asking its users a simple question: should we list Pi coin? The response was overwhelming. Over 85% of the participants voted a resounding yes. This was a huge morale boost for the pioneers, providing concrete evidence that the demand was not just coming from within their own echo chamber but was recognized by the wider crypto community on Binance's own platform. the poll fueled a fresh wave of speculation, with many believing a listing was imminent, especially around Pi Day on March 14th. However, despite the poll, the campaigns, and the deafening roar of the community, Pi Day came and went with no official announcement. The rumors died down, and the community was left waiting once again. The episode highlighted the complex reality of exchange listings. It's not just about popularity. Binance has a rigorous vetting process that considers a project's technology, security, regulatory compliance, and long-term viability. While the Pi community has proven its strength in numbers, there are clearly other hurdles that the project still needs to overcome before it can make the leap to the world's biggest exchange. So, if the community is massive and the demand is obvious, what's the holdup? Why isn't Pi Coin already trading on Binance? Well, getting listed on a top-tier exchange isn't as simple as winning a popularity contest. Binance has a notoriously strict set of criteria that every project must meet, and this is where things get complicated for Pi Network. The first major hurdle is technology and security. Binance needs to be absolutely certain that a project's blockchain is robust, secure, and capable of handling the massive volume of trades that a listing would generate. Any vulnerability could put billions of dollars of user funds at risk, and that's a nightmare scenario for an exchange. Another significant factor is the project's background and team. Binance conducts deep due diligence on the founders and developers behind a cryptocurrency. They look for transparency, a clear roadmap, and a history of delivering on promises. While Pi Network has a public-facing core team, the project has been criticized by some for its long development cycle and the years it spent in the enclosed mainnet phase. Furthermore, warnings from financial bodies, like the one from 7 Chinese associations calling Pi a valueless virtual currency before its mainnet launch, can create a cloud of uncertainty that makes a cautious exchange like Binance hesitate before committing to a listing. Then there's the big one: regulatory compliance. In the wake of its own multi-billion-dollar settlement with the U.S. Justice Department in 2023 for compliance failures, Binance is now treading very, very carefully. The exchange has been on a mission to clean up its image and work with regulators, not against them. This means any new project it lists must be squeaky clean from a legal perspective. Questions about Pi Network's distribution model, how it complied with securities laws in various countries during its long pre-mainnet phase, and its overall decentralization could be major sticking points for Binance's legal team. They simply cannot afford another compliance scandal. Finally, there's the simple matter of market stability. While Pi's launch was impressive, it's still a very new asset on the open market. Exchanges like Binance often prefer to list coins that have a longer track record of stable trading on other, smaller exchanges. They want to see how the price behaves, how liquid the market is, and whether the trading volume is genuine and not just driven by initial hype. The recent weekend market crash, which saw some coins on Binance plunge to near zero, is a stark reminder of market volatility. Binance might simply be waiting to see if Pi can weather a few storms and prove its staying power before giving it the green light. Now, let's bring it back to our main character, Donald Trump. His pro-crypto stance isn't just abstract policy, it appears to be intertwined with some very interesting and potentially lucrative financial connections. According to reports from NBC News, the Trump family has been linked to crypto projects managed by a firm called World Liberty Financial. This isn't some small-time operation. This firm has reportedly generated over an astonishing $4 billion for the family. That's not just a casual investment. That's a significant financial entanglement with the crypto industry. It adds a layer of personal financial interest to Trump's public policy decisions. The connections get even more direct. World Liberty Financial, the firm managing these lucrative crypto projects for the Trumps, is said to utilize an exchange that is administered by none other than Binance. Think about that for a second. The family of the President of the United States is reportedly making billions from a crypto operation that relies on the infrastructure of the very exchange whose founder the President just pardoned. The optics, as they say, are not great. It creates a swirling vortex of potential conflicts of interest, where political power and personal enrichment appear to be uncomfortably close. These financial ties raise a lot of questions. When Trump makes a pro-crypto policy decision, is he doing it for the good of the U.S. economy, or is he doing it because it directly benefits his family's bottom line? CZ, the founder of Binance, has publicly denied any talks about the Trump family taking a financial stake in Binance US. But the existing links to World Liberty Financial are already significant. It creates a perception that the White House's crypto policies might be influenced by a desire to boost the value of assets and platforms in which the First Family has a vested interest. This web of connections is crucial to understanding the current environment. It suggests that the Trump administration's relationship with Binance might be more than just a matter of policy. There are personal and financial dimensions at play. While there is no direct evidence linking the Trump family to Pi Network specifically, the fact that they are deeply embedded in the crypto world, with connections to the Binance ecosystem, creates a fertile ground for speculation. It makes the idea that political influence could be brought to bear on a business decision, like a coin listing, seem far more plausible than it might otherwise. If you want to understand how things get done in Washington, you need to follow the money, and that trail often leads to lobbyists. In September 2025, just a couple of months before CZ's pardon, Binance made a very strategic move. They hired a lobbyist named Charles McDowell. Now McDowell isn't just any lobbyist, he's reportedly a friend of Donald Trump Jr. According to reports, Binance paid him a cool $450,000, and what was he hired to do? The lobbying disclosure forms state his job was to lobby the White House for executive relief and on matters of cryptocurrency policy. Executive relief is a nice, polite way of saying, get our guy out of trouble. This move is a classic example of playing the Washington game. You don't just hope for the best, you hire people with direct access to power to make your case for you. The fact that Binance hired a friend of the president's son to lobby for a pardon for its founder, and then that pardon actually happened is, well, it's a sequence of events. It demonstrates that Binance was willing to spend significant money to leverage political connections to achieve its goals. This wasn't a grassroots campaign. It was a targeted high-level influence operation. The pardon of CZ itself was the ultimate display of this newfound political power. The previous administration, through Attorney General Merrick Garland, had painted Binance as a company whose growth was fueled by crime. The $4 billion fine was meant to be a punishment and a deterrent. Trump's pardon effectively wiped that slate clean, at least for the founder. It sent a message to the entire world that Binance, despite its past troubles, was now in the good graces of the US government. This political rehabilitation is invaluable, arguably worth far more than the $450,000 lobbyist fee. This context is vital when we consider the Pi Network situation. It shows that decisions at Binance aren't made in a vacuum. The company has shown it is responsive to political pressure and is willing to use political tools to its advantage. If the White House, under a president with personal financial ties to the crypto world, were to express an interest in seeing a particular project succeed, it's not unreasonable to think that Binance might listen. The pardon of CZ created a dynamic where the exchange may feel indebted to, or at least highly aligned with, the Trump administration's agenda. This political capital could potentially be spent on a variety of things, including influencing listing decisions. So, we arrive at the million-dollar question, or perhaps the $13.59 billion question. Could Donald Trump's pro-crypto stance and his administration's cozy relationship with Binance actually help Pi Network get listed? Let's be clear, there is no public statement from Trump or anyone in his administration mentioning Pi Network by name. However, politics is often about subtle signals and indirect influence. A president doesn't need to issue an executive order commanding an exchange to list a coin. A quiet word from a connected lobbyist or a public comment about supporting crypto for the people could be enough to send a powerful message. The argument for this possibility rests on the theme of populism. Trump's political brand has always been about championing the common man against the elites. Pi Network fits this narrative perfectly. It's not a project created by Wall Street bankers. It's a grassroots movement of millions of ordinary people around the world who mined coins on their phones. Supporting Pi could be framed as a populist move, a way for Trump to show he's on the side of the little guy in the crypto revolution. A listing on Binance, facilitated by his administration's influence, would be a huge, visible victory for those millions of pioneers. Furthermore, consider the players involved. We have a president whose family has financial ties to the Binance ecosystem. We have a pardoned Binance founder who may feel a sense of gratitude or obligation to the administration, and we have a massive politically mobilized community in the Pi Network. If that community were to direct its lobbying efforts not just at Binance, but at the White House, portraying a Pi listing as a win for Trump's pro-crypto agenda, it could create powerful political momentum. It transforms a business decision into a political one. And in Trump's Washington, politics often trumps all else. Of course, this is all deep in the realm of speculation. Binance still has its rigorous technical and legal standards. A presidential nudge might not be enough to overcome fundamental flaws in a project's security or compliance. Binance's new leadership, co-CEOs Yi He and Richard Teng, are focused on global expansion and strengthening compliance, and they might be wary of a listing that appears politically motivated rather than based on merit. They have to balance pleasing a friendly administration with maintaining their credibility as a neutral marketplace. The risk of being seen as a political tool could damage their brand in the long run. So, where does this leave us? The intersection of Trump, Binance and Pi network is a perfect storm of hype, politics, and technology. On one hand, the possibility that presidential influence could fast-track a listing for a project like Pi is a tantalizing prospect for its millions of supporters. Trump's administration has undeniably created the most crypto-friendly environment in U.S. history. The Strategic Reserve, the White House Summit, and the pardon of CZ are all tectonic shifts that have reshaped the landscape. In this new world, it feels like anything is possible, and the old rules no longer apply. This situation reveals a fascinating and slightly terrifying new reality for the crypto market. For years, the mantra of crypto was decentralization, a system free from the influence of governments and powerful individuals. Yet here we are, watching the fate of a multi-billion-dollar project potentially hinge on the whims of a single political leader and his network of connections. It suggests that as cryptocurrency becomes more mainstream, it will inevitably become more politicized. The line between code and state is blurring, and decisions that were once purely technical or business-related now have a thick layer of political intrigue. For the average crypto user and the pioneers of Pi network, this is a moment of both great hope and great uncertainty. A Binance listing would be a monumental event, likely sending the value of Pi soaring and bringing incredible validation to the community. It would be the culmination of years of tapping a button on a phone. However, it also means the project's future is tied to the volatile world of politics. What one president gives, another can take away. Relying on political favor is a risky game, and the crypto world is littered with projects that soared on hype and crashed back to earth. Ultimately, whether Pi Network gets its Binance listing because of political influence or on its own merits remains to be seen. But the story itself is a powerful symbol of our current moment. It's a story about how technology, finance, and power are becoming increasingly entangled. It's a reminder that even in the futuristic world of digital currency, the old world forces of politics and personal connections still hold immense sway. For now, all the pioneers can do is what they've always done. Watch, wait, and hope that their moment is finally about to arrive. And the rest of us can grab some popcorn, because this show is just getting started.